Hi, and welcome to the Drum Show. I'm sitting here with the one and only Scott Kinnison. What's up, man?
Hey, man. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you. Drove all the way up to, where are we?
New Hampshire.
Awesome.
Manchester, New Hampshire.
Manchester, New Hampshire on a snowy, cold day. So you know it's wintertime.
Yep.
Yep. Great drive. Thanks. Appreciate it. So, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I was thinking last time I saw you was over at the Guru's house.
That's right. It was. That's right. Over at the Guru's house.
Stevie Show.
That's right. That's right. Cool. Well, I want to, get you on the show and,
very
let the
pleased.
wonderful people of out there in the world of the drum show fans know about you. So,
awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Very, very humble. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's just dive right into it. What's your setup like?
So, being just a mere mortal who's not endorsed by anybody, I get to kind of pick and choose what I use. It depends on the gig. I do a lot of different gigs.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll play a Slingerland 26-inch bass drum.
Holy crap.
That's a marching bass drum. It's only 12 inches deep that I converted into a kick drum.
Okay.
I play that and a snare drum.
Okay.
If I'm doing like an R&B, or a funk thing. Other times I use my old Rogers kit. I got a 63 Rogers. But normally I use a lot of Yamaha.
Okay.
And I really love Yamaha drums.
You hear that, Yamaha?
If you hear it, I love your stuff. I use Absolute Maple Custom that I gig on. And then here in my studio I have a student set here that's a YD, which is a base model, but it was made really well. It's got wood hoops and stuff like that. It's a good. And then over here I have a Manukache, which is a little 16-inch bass drum. Nice. So my students that like to play rock and funk usually use this set.
Big bass drum.
Yeah, and then the big one, yeah, and then the jazzers usually play over on the little one.
Oh, nice, nice. And for, I know we were just kind of talking about this, but for cymbals?
Cymbals, I'm totally into Zildjian. Love their stuff. Just
you hear that, Zildjian?
Hear that? My first set of cymbals was Zildjian.
Okay.
And I was saying earlier, I just kind of relate things to them because that's what I grew up with. So when I hear a cymbal, I think to myself that kind of sounds like blah 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 Zildjian cymbal. But I have a lot of K Constantinople's that I like to use when I'm doing the jazz thing.
Okay.
I got an old trashy A from the '60s.
Nice.
That's just killer.
Awesome.
I got K Custom, stuff like that, A Custom.
Oh, cool.
So yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and I guess they have a new line coming out, which I'm not really totally sure about what it is, but I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what that is.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've heard it here first on the Drum Show. Apparently, Zildjian's coming out with a new line.
Yeah, I wish I remembered the name. I can't think of it right now.
Cool.
So.
Awesome. And for sticks?
Sticks, Vic Firth.
All right.
Vic Firth my whole life.
Okay.
The company I just love. Whenever I do, a clinic or a master class or anything, they send me tons of stuff. I've been in the factory. I've met Neil. I've met Vic. I kind of come from a lineage of teachers that studied with Vic.
Cool.
So in particular, I use the ride stick, which is the Petersons ride stick.
Oh, nice.
The bead on it is the bead on it, and like the taper and the thickness of the handle. The whole thing is perfect.
Cool, man. That's really awesome.
Yeah,
that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So, how'd you get started playing drums?
Well, growing up as a kid, I had rhythm in me. There were no musicians in my family. And strangely enough, actually, my brother and my sister were both born deaf.
Really?
Yeah. I was born first, and this is in the 70s. And then my brother came along, and back in the 70s, they didn't really test you for hearing or anything like that. And after a little while, they discovered he was completely deaf, which was out of nowhere.
Wow. And
then my sister was born, and she was born deaf. So the house was kind of a weird mix. It was like two deaf kids and then one kid that just loved music, and that was me. I grew up listening to Three Supremes. Just two albums stick out, Three Supremes and an Elvis album. And I was a little kid just putting them on the turntable and jamming with it. But the first time I actually played drums was in 5th grade. The music director for the grade schools, her name was Mrs. Ellis. who would become my first drum teacher.
Oh, wow, okay.
So she was there presenting all the band instruments, and I walked in and I looked at the trombone and I was like, dude, I gotta play the trombone. So, you know, I'm 5'5" now. So then, that's probably 3 foot. I don't know. So I tried to pick up this freaking trombone, and it's like, you know, twice the size of me.
Right.
But somehow she knew I had rhythm, and so she said, no, grab these sticks. And I remember sitting there and playing. She'd play something on the floor, and she'd say, play it back to me, and I'd play it back, and I was really picking it up.
Oh, cool.
And then she's like, you should be a drummer. I'm like, okay. I'll be a drummer. And
well, that was easy.
it was so, you know, the decision was made, and man, I am so thankful that that she saw that in me, because she was a drummer.
Right.
Even though she was a band director, she grew up as a percussionist.
Oh, wow, cool.
And she just sniffed it out, you know.
Nice, man. Nice.
So that's where it all started.
Nice. And so, what happened after that?
Well, I was the worst drummer.
Awesome.
In band. Yep. 5th grade, I really sucked. I never practiced. You know, had talent, but didn't use it. You know. Right. And then I think my parents started to threaten to kill me right around that summer after 5th grade. And so they were like, you know, you got to start practicing. So that's when, you know, the memory of the pad, the gray, with the Remo pad, and the sticks, and I'd spend the day at my grandparents' house, you know, getting babysat, and I'd practice. I'd be out in their screen house practicing, and then by 6th grade, I was good, you know. Right. And then 7th grade, she told me, sit down at the drum set and play.
Wow.
And I played, the first song I ever played was At the Hop.
Oh, cool.
And it was a swing beat, and I played it like that. It was just strange.
Cool.
It was just bizarre. I could do it. I watched a kid that was, you know, a little older than me play, and I watched him, and I sat down and I played it, and
just natural. Just
kind of natural, you know.
I'm listening to all that Elvis.
That's right, you know. And the Three Supremes, man, the Funk Brothers, you know, the Motown stuff. So so that happened, and then you know, and then I was, you know, hook, line, and sinker. I was a drummer. That's what I identified myself as. Went through, you know, grade school, whatever. Had a great opportunity studying with some really great teachers. Mrs. Ellis was my first one. And then I didn't really study with anybody through high school. But when I got to college, that's when I really started to buckle down and take things seriously.
Nice.
And
where'd you go to school?
I went to the University of New Hampshire.
Okay. So are you like born and bred here?
Born and bred in New Hampshire.
Okay, yep. so you're New Hampshire completely 100%.
Yes.
Nice,
yeah. And that's good, some good and some bad.
Right.
You know, Boston, man, you got to figure Boston's probably one of the most important cities in the world for music, for drummers, right? And it's like, I almost went there, you know? I almost went there, you know? I got the acceptance to Berkeley, and I got a scholarship to go to Berkeley, and I turned it down to stay in New Hampshire. And, you know, I don't regret it, but, you know, because in New Hampshire I was like one of a handful of drummers. If I had gone to Berkeley, I would have been one of
5 million.
5 million drummers, you know what I mean? Trying to eke out a living or whatever is pretty tough.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
So anyways, you know, I went through UNH, and I don't know if I want to tell you about my teachers.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I'm really fortunate. I had some awesome teachers. So at UNH, I studied with Les Harris Jr.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who he is. But
I don't.
No. Okay. So he's his father was a professor at Berkeley, Les Harris Sr. Les was my first like real introduction to jazz drumming.
Okay.
And how to practice jazz drumming. And he kind of comes down through the Alan Dawson school.
Yep.
You know, using syncopation and the rudimental ritual and all that stuff. You know, and Les does other stuff, but he was just fantastic. And then I had a percussion instructor, Nancy Smith, who, you know, I stunk at percussion, I'm not going to lie. But she was an inspiration, you know, and she actually hired me for some of my first professional gigs, got me playing in musical theater.
Oh, cool.
Well, my first musical theater gig was actually in high school, but you know, bigger theaters and stuff where she was doing percussion and I was playing set.
Nice.
So that was awesome.
Cool.
And then I studied with Bob Galati
Okay. Yep.
and you had him on
We've
the show.
actually, yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say we've had him on the show.
Bob
So.
was like just so I studied with Bob for 4 or 5 years.
Wow. Okay, that's a good
You know?
amount of time.
Yeah, and I tell you, I could go back and do another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
The dude is just, just knowledge, layers and layers of knowledge. But
Wow, that's cool, man.
he really helped me kind of get a discipline down.
Nice.
And a focus.
Yep.
And actually, when I teach now, because that's what I do, a lot of how I teach and how I organize and how I break up my lesson comes from Bob.
Okay, cool. Nice.
So him, and then Bob Moses.
Okay.
And that was just mind-blowing experience. I didn't do a lot with him, but I did see him. And I spent a good amount of time with Fred Buddha,
Okay.
which was just amazing for my hands
Yeah.
and my technique. And then Dave DeCenzo,
Okay. Yep.
the dude changed my playing, And that was recently. That was only maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow. Okay. Great,
And,
man.
and it just
Yeah, I mean, how we said the last time we saw each other was, at the Guru's house, and it was, you're never too old to, because everyone has a different mind and a different view on how to approach the drum set. So,
yes.
I tell people I still take lessons, and they're like, "You do? Why?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, it's just learning and just getting a different aspect and a different idea from someone else that looks at it from this angle as opposed to you from this angle." So.
Exactly, and another mentor of mine is Dom Famularo.
Okay.
And
I just saw him in January.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, at the NAMM show. So that's great.
My God, that guy is just so positive and he's like instant boost of energy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's great. Yeah, he's a really great guy.
But he told me once. He said, what do you want to do? You want to go to a doctor who's like, got their degree and whatever 20 years ago, and they're like, okay, I'm all done, and they don't feel the need to continue learning new things or improving or growing or recertifying themselves. Is that what you want to go to for a doctor? No, you want to go to somebody who's on top of it and is always learning and has got that eagerness. And I try to treat drums the same way. And hence I'm with Steve Misho right now, and it's blowing my mind every time I walk out of his house. I'm like,
that's cool.
I can't believe how much I don't know. You know?
All right.
And it's just.
I know how you feel.
He's
I know
superhuman.
How you feel. I know how you feel. I know how you feel. So I know that I cheated a little bit and went on your website and looked at a little bit of your bio, but let everyone out there know. I know that you've played with a few people. Can you elaborate on that? Like, who are some of the people that you've played with, resume-wise, and what's coming in the future? And
okay, so I do a lot of freelance.
Okay.
I do a lot of freelance. So I'm not gonna sit here and go down through the names. I mean, I've had the opportunity to play with some really great players.
Okay.
And actually, tons of the people I know that I play with are fantastic. You might not know who they are. You know what I'm saying? I got a buddy down in Boston that I play with every once in a while named Bill Jones. He's a great tenor player. I don't know if you know him. He's down in your neck of the woods. Okay. Killer tenor player. He plays with Bob Galati a lot.
Okay.
Been playing a lot with this guy named John Lorenz. He's a tenor player up this way. But I get hired. I get hired for all kinds of stuff. I was doing some country session work in the studio.
Nice.
The next month, doing a big band gig. At
That must be
St.
fun.
Anselm's.
How big is the big band?
Usually you're talking like 15, 18 piece.
Wow, okay.
Something like that.
Go on there, buddy Rich.
Yeah.
Just put the drum set right in front and everybody behind you.
No. I actually would much rather sound like Sonny Payne, Clark, than Buddy, but not that Buddy's. Not that I wouldn't want to sound like Buddy.
I know what you mean.
So, the best way to see where I'm playing is probably to go to my website.
Okay.
And then.
What's your website?
www.scottkinnison, that's SCOTTKINNISON.com.
Okay.
And then you'll find like a Facebook link and you can hit that.
Oh,
and
cool.
then I post most of the stuff I do on Facebook.
Nice.
I gotta update my site a little bit and kind of get the the gig calendar on
Right,
there,
right,
you know.
right.
But
It seems like, you know, you're keeping busy and working, which is great.
yeah, you know, I teach 45 lessons a week roughly,
Okay.
4 days, and
Right.
then you know I gig 2 to 6 a month,
Right. Nice,
and I try to practice a lot,
Hey,
and it's
that's
all about
important.
finding that balance. You know?
Right, most definitely. Most
Just
definitely.
so hard, and you know that.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. So I know you had said some of your teachers and influential people in your playing. Can you name maybe like, I know this is always a tough question.
I know what's
maybe
coming.
like 3.
So I've done a little research too,
Uh-oh.
and I've watched some of your shows. So I've narrowed it down to about 437.
Great. Wait, 437 or 436?
Yeah, drummers that influence me.
Right.
Okay.
So like a top 3
Yeah, yeah.
that kind of rounds it out.
Well, I do have to say, all my teachers.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So well, that'll be 1.
No, that's pre-1.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because I get the 3. I get the 3, man. I thought long and hard about
Okay,
this.
great.
Number 1, Tony Williams.
Okay.
Changed my life.
Okay.
Changed my life. Like, bam.
Okay.
That was, first thing I heard of his was Main Voyage, Herbie Hancock.
Okay.
And then, man, the guy just is
Well, he changed a lot of face of the drumming. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He changed the face of drumming a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, definitely one of the biggest pioneers.
one of the biggest
opinion.
pioneers, and then his technique and tone
Right.
and phrasing and the whole package.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I wanted to throw this out there because not everybody knows about this album, but people, you say Tony Williams, they think, oh, My Funny Valentine 4 more. Those the quintessential. There's another
Emergency.
album. What was that?
Emergency.
Oh, well, afterwards.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about like the earlier
Right,
stuff.
more earlier stuff.
Yeah. In '67, he's on a live album with Miles Davis's quintet,
Okay.
and it's pretty rare. It's called Gold Collection.
Okay.
Miles Davis Gold Collection, and it's probably the last 6 months that band was together.
Wow.
With Herbie,
Right.
Ron, Wayne, Miles, and Tony, and the drumming is out of this world.
Wow.
It's the quality of the recording quality is not quite as tight as
Right,
My Funny
understand.
Valentine,
Right.
but
Understand.
the playing is.
Oh, I'm sure.
So
I'm sure.
so that's a great album to check out. So him, Jack DeJohnette.
Okay.
In terms of like being able to just sit down at a set, and I think play from no preconceived notion.
Right.
The melodic approach, his time, his feel, just the freedom. The freedom, like I would just love to be able to sit down and play with that kind of freedom.
Yeah.
So he's definitely one of them. And then the other one I was thinking really was Stevie Wonder.
Great. Nice. Nice one.
Yeah,
I like that one.
His groove and his feel and all that's awesome. But his ability to understand how to play drums within the context of a song,
Right.
and play what the song needs, and he got away with playing so much more stuff than other people could get away with.
Right.
He does fills
Right.
where everyone else it would just wouldn't sound right,
Right.
and he puts a fill in and it works.
Right.
Or he goes to the right cymbal at the right time, or the high. I mean, just these little nuances that I think is a product of being a songwriter.
Right.
You know.
Right. Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Nice one. I like the Stevie Wonder one. There's actually a bit of video actually on YouTube that you can check out that has Stevie Wonder actually playing drums and stuff like that, which is really cool. And then I know in his show they have 2 drum sets up on stage. And he actually goes up, and I haven't seen him. It was one person I still need to go see live.
Yep.
But I know he goes up and starts playing on the drum set with the other drummer and stuff like
I've
that.
seen
so
him
it's really
do.
cool.
I've seen him do that on a show where he got up and played as well. I think they set up the drum set in the middle of the show.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they actually set it up and then they bring him over and he
Right.
sits down and just.
Wales.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
So,
Cool, man. Well, you had mentioned that you do some teaching. So obviously you see, young kids coming up and stuff like that. Any advice that you would give to up-and-coming drummers? Because, I mean, there's about 1,000,005 of us.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
How much time we got? you know, there's obviously the things like you got to do your rudiments. You
Right.
got to learn to read. You got to, you know, but I think when I think of that kind of, you know, try to answer that kind of question, I think more of a philosophical approach and start with laying some foundation down, and that would, to me, would be first and foremost have an open mind.
Okay.
The mind,
Nice.
the mental approach is everything. You know, it's easy to get closed-minded and to not really listen to what people are saying, really hear the words that are coming out of their mouth, you know.
Right.
And also it's easy to like decide not to listen to certain types of music because
Right.
you just don't, you know. I had a kid the other day tell me Terry Bozzio wasn't that good. I was like,
But you know, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, of course.
Yeah, but there's a
You
difference
gotta be
between
open-minded to it.
good
Yeah.
and like.
Right, exactly.
I don't like Terry Bozzio's playing.
But you gotta recognize that
But
he is good.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
so, you know, maybe you don't care for what they're doing,
Right.
but try to open up and
Right.
real, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yep,
and
I
I'm
do.
not, you know, that you're just Terry Bozzio fan, but the dude can play.
Right,
You know?
definitely.
You know?
Definitely.
So having that and you know, in the right attitude, you know, being open, being humble, that eagerness to learn.
Yeah.
You know, when things just fall in your lap and you don't work for them, you're not going to last.
Right.
Man, you're not going to last. So, and that kind of leads me to another one, which would be, you know, having patience and perseverance.
Okay,
And that
cool.
I learned from Vic Firth talking about it, you know, that,
Right.
I mean, and he's the perfect example. I mean, the guy is, you look at what he's done through his career, I mean, he couldn't have done it if he didn't persevere and
Right.
wasn't patient, you
Right.
know?
Exactly.
So I think that that's really important, you know, especially today where it's like now,
Right.
everything's so quick and fast.
Right. Exactly.
I think listening, learning how to listen to music is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that sounds kind of like, well, everybody listens to music, but I mean really listen to
Yeah,
music.
like dissecting it and really listening to the nuances
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
of all of it, not just the
Yeah.
drumming, but
Yeah.
you know, all the other instruments as well.
It's amazing because, you know, I'll put on a song, you know, on the PA and have a kid sitting here and I'll be like, okay, now listen to what they're doing because you did something wrong. I want you to go back and listen. And while they're like, you know, and I'm like, wait, you're not listening, man. You're
Right.
playing.
Right.
You can't be using your sticks right now.
Right.
Put your hands down. Close
Right.
your eyes. Listen.
Yeah.
You know. So I think that would probably be high on the list.
Cool.
And then I guess the last thing I'll just say to, you know, wrap it up is get a good teacher. Get a teacher and don't expect to learn from that teacher in a lesson or two.
Put time into it.
Yeah, and you got to stick with them for a while because if you find a musician that you know, really like their sound and what they're doing, that's a whole lifetime of work for them to sound like that.
Right.
So you can't go in there and think that you're going to come out with some cool licks
Right. Of course.
in 2 lessons.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, maybe you'll get a couple of licks out of it, but you're not going to get down to the heart.
The nitty-gritty of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got to really like stick with it and really listen to listen to what they're saying because when we're conversing, it's easy for us to hear things through our own filter and kind of, you know, come up with, you know, our version of what that person might be saying to us.
Right.
It's important that you really try to hear what they're saying. And you know, I with Dave DeCenzo, for instance, I used to record my lessons with him, and I would go home and just listen to what he was saying and try to really understand, you know, because he's talking about things like content and context and all these kind of deep meanings, and I'm
Right.
trying to really get to, you know, where is he coming from?
Right.
Then I'll have a better chance of performing or, you know, working on what he's given me.
Right. And understand what he's giving you.
And
stuff like
why.
that.
You know.
Right. Nice, man. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome advice. Thank you. Thank
I hope it helps somebody.
There you go. Cool, man. Well, we got to the last question, which is always my favorite. And since you said you did your homework, I'm sure you got
Oh yeah.
this question ready and everything. So when you're not teaching, not gigging, not practicing, not anything with the drums, what do you like to do for fun?
Well, it would. The answer would have been like 2 years ago hiking.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
then
you're definitely in the country.
you're
for
right.
that.
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
hike. You know. But then I did this thing called buying a house.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha.
So-
Yep.
So that basically blew all hobbies out the window,
Oh, okay.
and free time is, you know, fixing the roof,
Fixing the house.
splitting wood, you know, stuff that's great for your drumming career.
Actually, splitting wood's really good for your career.
What?
No, really. Splitting wood.
Hey, you live in Boston. What are you talking about? You don't know what you're
No, splitting wood, man. It takes patience and precision.
Yeah.
I'm just talking out my butt.
I figure, man, I can tell you, like, man, my thumbs are all swollen, and like
Yeah.
I can't bend my fingers.
Hey,
for a
I
week.
can't even pick up the axe, so I'm out. So, you know.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So you work around the house.
But
That's great.
you know, when I do have free time, you know, the thing to do is to I like to have a fire, like
Okay.
a campfire. I
Right.
like to hang with my family and with my friends,
Nice.
listen to some music.
Roast some marshmallows.
Yeah,
That-
have a couple beers, you know.
Yeah, that too. Awesome,
So
man.
yeah.
Cool, awesome. So give me the website one more time that the people can check out.
www.scottkinnison.com. SCOTTKINNISON.
Cool, awesome. Thank you for watching the Drum Show. This is Scott Kinnison, man. Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.
Oh man, I
Pleasure's
appreciate
mine.
it. Oh, thank you.
It's just great what you're doing.
Oh, thank you, man. If you don't know about this cat, please go check him out. He's a really great killing drummer, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks a lot.
See ya.